Hey everybody, PC Outcast here, back with yet another episode of Everlasting Summer, going along Slavya's route. I think we've done all the options, so we should now just be in the home stretch for her good end. So let's see what happens. I woke up with the first rays of the sun because of the cold. Obviously the sleeping bag was warm, and it hadn't had enough time to be covered with hoarfrost, but still it was a novelty for me to spend the night in a forest. Carefully, in order to avoid waking Slavya up, I got out of the bag. The fresh morning air really dispelled my drowsiness, and the serenity of last night swept over me. I guess it was the happiest moment of my life. Intimacy, tenderness, love, passion, all those emotions interlinked in me during those short hours. I looked at Slavya, and she was beautiful. Her face was set in emotionless expression of absolute tranquility and peacefulness. I guess that's how angels sleep. As I had no wish to wake her up, I just sat down by her side and observed the way the morning began. Nature. The fresh dew, light wind, dancing tree leaves, and patches of sunlight on the water used to be alien to me yesterday. The concrete jungles of a huge city were the only forest I'd known before. And if someone had told me that I could just sit and enjoy things like that, despite the night cold and annoying mosquitoes, without computer or internet, I definitely wouldn't have believed them. Good morning. I looked at Slavya. Morning. Did you sleep well? Better than ever. Me too. She reached out and kissed me. The kiss seemed everlasting, and I just dissolved in her. Having breakfast would be great. Slavya finally spoke, letting go of me. Yeah, I guess so. Do you know what time it is now? No, but I think it's still early. I hope the canteen is already open. I'm so hungry. Me too. We got our things and walked to the camp, holding hands. The canteen was indeed open, and strangely, we were its first visitors. Wasn't surprised that breakfast wasn't all that luxurious. Oatmeal, 2 eggs, dry bread, and watery tea. You know, I never liked the local food. Me neither, to tell you the truth. Slavya laughed. But there's no choice. And it's quite good on an empty stomach. That's right. Unlike me, she was eating carefully. I was dropping porridge on my shirt and spilling tea all over myself as usual. Do you always eat like this? Anything wrong with that? I asked with a mouthful. She just laughed. Oh, no, not always. But it happens when I'm really hungry. Of course, I can be more civilized. Well, I can try at least. No worries, it's nothing. Soon we finished breakfast and went to the exit. No sooner had I noticed that we were still the only people in the canteen than Olga appeared on the threshold. Oh, it's you. Well, I want to ask where you spent the night. So, is it... Camp leader was obviously embarrassed. Good morning to you too, Olga, Slavya said with a bright smile. Yes, morning. Morning. Okay, just don't forget to pack your things. We won't. What does she mean? Some hike again? I asked Slavya when we left the canteen. No. Today is the last day. Have you forgotten? Last day of what? Last day of the term. To say that her words struck me dumb was an understatement. How? Why? Why so surprised? Didn't you know? It was announced during the lineup. But even at those lineups, which I attended, I was just sleeping on my feet. No. Now you know? Slavya smiled naturally. And what should I do? Her words stirred a mass of emotions inside of me. On one hand, I'll get out of this cursed camp at last. I might get some answers. On the other, I've just found something very important to me, and now I have to let it go? What do you mean? Oh, nothing. And when is the departure? In the evening at 5 or 6 o'clock. Well, still a lot of time. Yes, but I have some things to do. And I should find Xenia. She might be worried since I was absent for the whole night. Oh well, worrying is so much like her. See you at lunch. Slavya gave me a kiss on the cheek and ran away. I kept standing at the canteen's entrance. I had absolutely nothing to do, nothing to pack, so the only thing to do was to wander around the camp till evening and think. I would give anything to be able to empty my head for these 10 hours. A voice pulled me out of my trance. "Hello!" Electronique stood before me as merry as usual. "You too." I replied, absent-minded. "You know, the whole camp is talking about you." I guess I know why. "So you did it already?" he asked, giggling. "Do you really think that concerns you?" "Well, no, I just..." "Then keep quiet." Oh, damn. Leaving him alone with his speculations, I walked to the square. Why does he behave in a way that drives everyone mad? Although it's probably just me he maddens. I was completely immersed in my thoughts, not looking around, and didn't notice Miku until she bumped into me. "Oh, sorry. I should be more careful. I was lost in thought and didn't notice you. You know how it happens. Oh, and hi." I looked through her and kept walking. "Oh, Semyon, wait a second. What's up with Slavya? Tell me, it's so interesting. It seems that everyone in the whole camp except me knows about it. No, not that I'm curious, but since everything is all so serious." Saying that she is not curious is like denying a universal truth. "Nothing special," I answered without turning back. "Well, if you don't want to." I try to isolate myself from the outside irritation, so Miku's other words passed by. Square scenery was soon replaced by the beach. Luckily, the juvenile gem of the Soviet pop scene wasn't around. I took a place on the sand and started gazing at the river. Why on earth is the whole camp so interested in my relationship with Slavya? In my world, nobody would have said a word. At least not out loud. At least you don't hear the things they say behind your back. For now, I was ready to endure gossip just as long as I don't have to report to everyone about my private life. The sun was rising higher and higher, and I was nodding off. My eyes were already closed when I suddenly heard someone sitting down next to me. It was Alyssa. "Congratulations." "Meaning? Don't you know?" "Yeah, it doesn't take an Einstein to work it out. To be honest, I'm sick and tired of this. Everyone here just has to mention it. Enough." "And what did you expect?" "It is out of the ordinary for the camp. I would even say it's exceptional." She laughed. "And to show up, the camp leader just like that? Even Yolana couldn't manage it." "Me neither, probably." I didn't know how to respond to that, or whether it was a compliment or mockery. "You know, you're making too big of a deal out of it. There was nothing unusual for me. Moreover, I don't understand why you have to poke your nose into my life. Don't you think it's just my personal business and nobody else's?" "Maybe so, maybe so." Alyssa said mysteriously. We sat silently for a while. I wanted her to leave as soon as possible, but Alyssa was watching the pioneers on the beach, and it didn't seem that she was planning to go anywhere. "So what are you going to do next?" "What are you talking about?" "Today is the last day." "Yeah, so what?" "Everyone will leave." "So?" "And Slavya will leave too." "And you will leave too. So?" "You'll break up." "I know that already, thank you." "Obviously." "What do you think about that?" "What should I think? I can't stay here forever." "Of course you can't. But, what, will you let her go just like that?" "No. I mean, what can I do?" Frankly speaking, I really had no idea what to do next. My head was a complete mess. I'll be able to get out of here. That was the important thing for me during last week. And now I have to answer a much more difficult question. How did summer romances end for common Soviet teenagers? And my romance was a summer one for sure. They just went home and that was it. They could live thousands of kilometers away from each other. In my case, in different worlds. It's not like one can come up with a decent solution for such a problem in a couple of hours. Like I know. It's up to you to decide. Alyssa grinned, stood up, and ran to the river. There was only about half an hour to lunch, so I slowly walked to the canteen. Pioneers hadn't managed to occupy all the free tables, so I was able to choose quite a good place, but to my regret, not my favorite one in the corner. I was just about to start eating when someone abruptly pulled out a chair at the table near me and took a seat. "Hi there, how are you?" It was Ilana. An extraordinarily polite version of her. I was fine until now. I sneered. Oh, come on. Better tell me. What are you gonna do? Eat. I sighed. I'm not talking about that. Session's over. You and Slavya are gonna part. What's next? It's like my future is the priority issue for all local residents. Hey, what really is the matter? Just curious. Curious about what? I don't ask you what you're going to do tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or in a month. Why do you have to get into someone else's life? I'm not getting into anything, Yolanda said, offended. I'm not really good at all that stuff. True enough, you're still a kid. So you've got to explain since you're the adult here. What should I explain? So you're going to stay in touch through letters, right? And then you're going to go to this camp next summer together. Talking through letters. Sounds so wild to me. And I don't mean the idea of paper sheets and envelopes. I mean the possibility of losing Slavya for a year, or probably even longer, or forever. So what? May I join you? I raised my eyes and saw Slavya standing near me with a food tray. Okay, it's time to go. Yolanda jumped and dashed off to a far corner of the canteen. What were you talking about? You know her. What could we possibly be talking about? Slavya smiled. Took care of your business? Yeah, now I'm completely free. I can help you pack your stuff. It's not like I have much to pack. Well, then you can help me with my stuff. Sure. That was the perfect opportunity for a quiet talk with her, although I had not a slightest idea of what I should talk about. Soon enough, we finished our meal and headed to Slavya's cabin. Everything in it was clean and neat, unlike Olga's cabin. Oh, I'm not sure what I should start with. She took out her travel bag and started to rummage through a cabinet. Meanwhile, I sat on the bed and started to gather my thoughts. Do you have any plans for after the camp? What are you going to do? Well, you know. She raised her eyes to mine and gave me a smile. I'll go back to school. Yeah. And you? What about me? It's not like I'm really considering going to high school for a second time. Me? Well, me too, I guess. Although I don't really feel like going back to my city. Seriously speaking, even if I felt like going back, I had nowhere. I think that should be even if I felt like going back, I had nowhere to go anyway. Why? Just because. Because there's nothing to do there. Nothing at all, and there's no one waiting for me there. But your parents. My parents. Well, you know, they're not there now. But where are they then? They're sort of working abroad. Ah, so you're one lucky guy. She smiled merrily. Why? They send you foreign stuff and all. I wouldn't call my situation lucky as such. Well, anyway. Don't be upset. She really looks like she doesn't understand what I'm saying. I'm not upset about it. And it was true. Then what's up? Many things. For example. Well, for example, I was about to begin a vast outburst about my situation and my wish not to have to part with Slavya when the door was flung open with a bang and Xenia entered. Ah, there you are. Yes, we're packing. I see. It's a good thing I didn't come 10 minutes later. I would have disturbed your packing. Slavya blushed and kept on stuffing her things inside the bag anxiously. What's up, heroic lover boy? That form of address gave me the creeps. What? Nothing. She stared at me intently for some time. Watch it. Now more than just yourself depends on your choices. I didn't reply, and with those words, Xenia left the cabin. What did she mean? I think you can never know for sure. And yet. Well, I wanted to talk to you about it myself. I was able to start, but then... But what? Slavya looked at me carefully. It's just... Today we're leaving, right? Right. And we'll move back to our cities. Well, yeah. And when will I see you again? Slavya grew thoughtful. I don't know. And I don't know either. But you could write me letters. She smiled, but her smile didn't bring me peace of mind. Yes, of course, but you know, that's not the same. What is it then? Can I go with you? I decided to take a chance and speak plainly. And what will you do there? Slavya seemed to not be surprised, but a bit vexed. studying, my parents, and what will people say? I wasn't thinking about the opinions of other people, and to be honest, they didn't worry me much. Well, we can always find a way. What way? Well, we'll think of something. Semyon, we're too young for this. In fact, I'm not. So what? Maybe after some time. How much time do you need? A year? 2 years? 5? You say it as if... I don't know. She seemed confused. So everything that happened here was just a holiday romance? I started getting angry. No, of course not. Just... What? I'm not ready to discuss it right now. Let's talk about it later. When later? We have only a couple of hours left till departure. Slavya said nothing and continued to pack her bags. I expected almost any kind of reaction from her, but not this. In fact, she just pushed me away. Turns out she doesn't need to continue our relationship, so I'm not that important to her. You think it's only complicated for you? It seems to me that it's hard for you too, but for some reason you don't think so. And what if I told you that I don't have a place to go back to? That since last Monday there is no more life for me and I have to start from scratch? I don't know. That doesn't sound very reasonable. And it shouldn't, but it's true. And then what? Please explain. I came to this camp by accident. Actually, I'm from another time, perhaps from another world. From the beginning of the 21st century. And I'm older than I seem. I don't really know how I got here. Slavya stared at me but said nothing. The moments dragged on endlessly. I waited for her to laugh at me, to call me sick, or something even worse. And why are you telling me all this? She finally asked quietly. I want you to understand my situation. But it just sounds stupid. Of course, if I were you, I'd react the same way. What do you expect from me? I don't know. I just felt that I needed to confess. I'm not saying that you're lying, and I don't think you're crazy, but you have to understand, I can't just accept it. Yes, I understand. I just thought it would help you to understand my situation and my motivation for my actions. It didn't, to be honest. I sighed in frustration. And my opinion hasn't changed. But you'd better be off. You need to pack your stuff or you'll be late. Let's talk later. I wasn't going to argue. If Slavya hasn't changed her mind after my confession, then it's pointless to press on right now. Distressed, I shuffled off to Olga's cabin. The camp leader stood at the doorstep and looked like she was waiting for me. Why are you so gloomy? Did something happen? No, nothing. Just came to pack my things. Oh, come on, let it out. You might feel better. Well... How do you think I can prove that I'm telling the truth to somebody who doesn't believe me? Are you absolutely sure that you're telling the truth? Absolutely. Then perhaps they might just need time to consider. Except there's no time left. Then I don't know. She shrugged her shoulders in dismay. Well, it's something at least. I tossed my winter clothing into a bag and headed to the bus stop. A couple of days ago, I'd seen the Icarus standing at the gate of the camp and waiting for pioneers. I would have been the happiest person in this reality. Oh, if a couple of days ago I'd seen it. But right now, I wasn't in the mood to rejoice. There was still plenty of time left until the bus departure time. I sat down on the curb and buried my head in my hands. Why so sad? A familiar voice pulled me out of my thoughts. Just... had a fight with Slavya? You could say that. And what's the reason? She doesn't believe that I'm an alien from the future. I smiled ironically. I wouldn't believe it either, said Lena seriously. If I were in your shoes, neither would I. It's not a big deal. You'll make up from a quarrel. Yeah, but there's not much time left to... Left to what? To make the right choice. After a while, the whole camp assembled together at the bus stop. Everyone's here? Began Olga. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope that you'll remember the time you've spent here for a lifetime and that you'll retain only pleasant memories about Slavyanok. I also hope that you became at least a little bit better, managed to learn something and found new friends. Just come back next year. The camp leader turned away. Seems she was trying to hold back her tears. I didn't expect her to get so emotional. Yeah, like every time. Although her speech sounded like complete nonsense to me as usual. Of course, this is where I met Slavya, but now we were going through a tough time, and what will happen next is absolutely unclear. So I didn't care about whether I'll miss this place and Olga or not. Unlikely. When the pioneers started to get on the bus, I pushed through the crowd to Slavya. Let's sit together. Okay, she said quietly. I even thought that I saw the shadow of a smile on her face. The bus flew across the expanses of my new world. Outside, fields followed forests and then calm rivers and highlands. I felt as familiar with all of this as if it was my own homeland. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I was trying hard to find the right words to start a conversation. We'd just been sitting there, probably for a couple of hours, but all attempts to strike up a conversation had ended with one-word answers. Forget about what I said before. I don't want to make excuses or say that it's not true. It's just now, the most important thing to me is you. I understand. She looked at me carefully. Even if I sometimes act the wrong way and talk nonsense, regardless, the main thing for me now is to be with you, and it will always be. I understand that I acted too recklessly and planned stupid ventures, but we can try to make everything right, together, you and me. Slavya was still gazing at me. Do you realize that it will be difficult? That you can't just run blindly into the dark? Because then there will be so many problems that we won't be able to solve. Yes, I understand that now. But for you, I'm prepared for anything. She didn't say a word, but just kissed me gently and put her head on my shoulder. It definitely meant yes. I didn't want to bother her anymore. Let her sleep. The point is that Slavya finally understood me, understood what she means to me. She realized that I'll do anything for her sake. And even if I'm overreacting or deciding too early, she's ready to put me on the right path. The path that we'll walk together. Ha! I don't know if that was the appropriate response. Night started to claim its rights, and the bus settled down to sleep. At first I tried to fight it, but is there any use in enduring and wasting my efforts when the future had finally become crystal clear for me? My eyes shut just for a moment. There are dreams that you don't want to wake up from. Like one's floating down a warm river towards a place far beyond the horizon, blissfully watching the vain world hidden behind the clouds. The past is left behind, its echoes do not tear your soul. And the future is right here, you just have to reach out. Doesn't matter what's awaiting you there, the very process of immersing yourself in this fairy world of serenity and happiness is itself much more important. I've always believed the universe was one in this state and that one day it'll return to it again. Our life is just a blink of an eye, just a second in comparison to the universe. The birth and death of stars is a minute, and those of galaxies are hours. But even all of that, all put together, will not even be a day. Nobody thinks how to live each specific second, so does it really matter what each drop in a stormy river running beyond the horizon of existence does? I opened my eyes and stretched blissfully. I had no desire to stand up as I felt like I was in perfect bliss, muffled in a blanket. After all, I don't have to go anywhere. As usual, actually. And I don't have any plans. So why shouldn't I just sleep? I rolled over and stared at the old worn wallpaper covering the curved wall. Wonder how long ago the last time they renovated this room was. Why does here have wallpaper instead of bare wood anyway? Vague, warm bells began ringing somewhere deep in my mind. I threw the blanket away, jumped up, and furiously began to look around. Yes, I was in my flat again. At first, I was paralyzed. The shock was so strong that my brain was unable to process what was going on. I just stood and gazed on the screen of the monitor on the table opposite me. I couldn't think. I even forgot to breathe. Finally, my mind began to clear. What happened anyway? I fell asleep on the bus, going to the district center. Yes, something like that. And Slavya was sitting by my side, and now I'm back here. Seems like during the week I spent there in the camp, I'd gotten so used to the fact that I'd never returned to my previous life that now I just have no idea how to react to all this. After all, my first main wish was to get home, but in the end, everything was like in a bad movie. At last, I'd come back, but I'm still shocked. No, I felt no fear. I was rather interested and upset. After all, I'd already made up my mind to start a new life with Slavya, leaving all my problems behind: insult, suffering, self-examination, unfinished affairs, and plans for the future. Obviously, that life could not be worse than this one, at least. But there's no returning to it now. On the other hand, if someone had told me a week ago that I would be sent into a different world just like that in the blink of an eye, I would not have believed them. So what makes such a fantastic event happening again so impossible? Moving my legs with difficulty, I went to the kitchen, got a glass of water, and returned to the room. The ice-cold liquid with a disgusting aftertaste of bleaching powder revived me to some degree. Now I have to decide what to do next. Suddenly I realized that I could not bear the silence. After turning the computer on, I launched a random song in the player and managed to calm down somewhat. And seriously speaking, what can I do? Recently, I realized that absolutely nothing is up to me. By someone's will, I was pulled out of my usual world and then sent back. No answers were found during the week in the camp. What's the point in speculating now? I must forget everything that happened like a bad dream. Maybe those were just hallucinations. I don't really care now. The only thing that prevented me from completely forgetting this short period of my life was Slavya. I recalled her smile and all the time we spent together. From the meeting on the very first day to the night in the forest and her departure from the camp. My heart furiously jumped inside my chest, spreading oppressive pain all throughout my body. I liked her at first sight. So gentle, caring, understanding. Just like that anime heroine. What's her name? The one who helped an antisocial fellow like me deal with depression. And if you think about it, there are no such people in real life. Slavya asked nothing in return, needed no encouragement, never expected to be understood or praised for her work. She just was being herself, a girl that cannot exist in real life. If you think clearly, that's really exactly what she was. Seems like I've seen one single week-long dream. About the pioneer camp, Soviet teenagers and their camp leader, about warm summer nights and gatherings around a fire, about light-hearted children's games and simple human joys, about one moment that lasted a week and the everlasting summer. But not just seen. I've been there. I was a part of everything. My eyes unwillingly filled with tears. Not tears of pain or despair, tears of sorrow and bright melancholy. Even if everything is over, I experienced something that most people could never dream about. Slavya's image flashed in my head brighter and brighter. I would love so much for her to return from that camp with me. Maybe I have nothing to offer her now, but my entire life is still ahead of me. I guess I learned a lot of useful lessons from those events. I couldn't help thinking that it all seems too perfect, like it was written according to some simple plan. A loser hero, a fantastic incident, and a wonderful transformation. I guess it's not possible. Not in this life. Well, I became the person I was before only a day or a week. Will I become the person I was before only a day or a week later? Well, it's the most realistic course of events. One thing's for sure, I'll never be able to go back. Or can you? About a month has passed since I returned from Slavya, or to say more accurately, since I woke up. I returned to my usual life as a loner, surfing the internet for days, going outside only to shop. As expected, it began to suit me again. While obviously moments of melancholy and depression occurred, a person like me just can't do without them, but they lasted no longer than usual, except those times when, while sleeping, I returned to that summer, that mysterious camp. But after awakening, I tried to banish these thoughts as soon as possible. After all, what's the point in dreaming of becoming a wizard? Even if miracles happen, and I was proof that they do, they happen completely independent of us. The word sweet doesn't give you a sweet taste, regardless of how often you pronounce it. Nevertheless, something has changed in my existence. Formerly, I didn't think ahead. Didn't really care how long I would live, whether 1 week or 40 years. But now I look forward to it with optimism. Not like I tried to change anything or to become a different person, but the world now seemed more understandable. Not simple, not friendly, no, not friendly at all, but just understandable. Before, I just couldn't cope with some events or facts, though I kind of realized that they were there for a reason. Now I started seeing life as something simpler. What happens, happens for the best. Or at least it happens and I can live with it. And if I can't, I'm powerless in that case. I guess I started smiling more often, or at least I didn't carry that look of deep universal frustration 24/7. Even my acquaintances on the internet, obviously, noticed some change in me, and their opinions agreed that these changes are good. Now I think I'm ready to live on, thanks to Slavyanok and its inhabitants. Without them, I wouldn't be able... Able to... It was the beginning of January. The city had barely recovered from the New Year hangover. The streets were almost empty during the day, not to mention the nights. When the only stranger walking down the street seemed extremely busy with some business, rushing somewhere for a reason that couldn't wait. I had no such reason. I just decided to have a little walk. It's necessary to get some fresh air sometimes. A winter's night is the best time to be alone with yourself. I always thought that true solitude can be felt in a crowd rather than in a burning hot desert, boundless plain, or on the top of a mountain covered with snow. In the stream of people, words, thoughts, and aspirations, everyone had their own aim and direction, and I was the only one strolling among them, deserving no attention from others. Maybe they're like vectors moving in different directions. They never meet at Cartesian coordinates? I don't know what that is. It's the same thing here. These people are walking, running in one direction, and I'm dragging along in the other. But did I feel lonely? Before, yes, but now, highly unlikely. In the bright, blinding lights of the city, the noise of the cars and swirling crowds, I enjoyed a heavenly symphony of silence. But now the situation is slightly different. There's just me in the street, so I'm alone not only within my own self, but within the whole world. Being a sand grain in a desert is not the same thing as being a drop of water in an ocean. Really? Seems like basically the same thing. In the crowd, nobody noticed me. Nobody paid any attention, but now everyone who peeks out the window or see me while driving past will think, why can't he just stay home? Maybe he has some urgent matter. Suppose he's mad? Or is he just drunk? I never liked standing out from the crowd when it was not appropriate, so opposing society was never an option for me. But now it's different. As if I tried to tell everybody, look, I can be happy too. You need your TV or your hot chocolate, but I just need the snow, the night, a dark room, and a dull monitor screen. Look, I'm not any worse off than you. I felt sadness in my heart, but it was a serene sadness. So do I really need the things that they have and I do not? Maybe I have something much more valuable. What a weird ending. I didn't notice how I came to the bus stop of the 410 route. This brings back memories. I sat down and rummaged in my pockets trying to find cigarettes. However, the packet was empty. Fine. Crumpled it up and threw it into the bin. Maybe I'll get healthier. A lonely star was shining in the sky. Today I read on the internet that according to the calculations of scientists, one of the most beautiful astronomical events has already ceased to exist and we'll see it only decades later. Maybe this star has already exploded as well, and now it's only a beautiful image in the night sky, somewhere near a lost planet on the edge of the galaxy. However, why does one or another thing exist? Is it simply because it's just there, has shape, and can be touched? Or is it because we believe that it exists? At first thought, the answer is simple. But on the other hand, even if this star is gone, we can still see its cold light. Maybe it helped someone to get out of a snowy winter forest, gave someone hope, or a bit of warmth to someone else. Could a simple astronomical object that exploded God knows when do all this? Can billions of people believe in something that doesn't really exist? But belief itself never made any object real. At least none that I've ever heard of. Snowfall grew stronger. Now it was a real snowstorm. Midnight. I was about to leave, but suddenly someone emerged from the solid white veil and ran under the bus stop roof. It was clearly a girl, as she had a long ponytail hanging out of her hood, despite the fact that I couldn't actually see it in the image. She stood with her back to me, so I couldn't make out her face. "Excuse me, has the last bus already left?" she asked without turning to me. Where can she be heading so late? 410 must be the most cursed route in the city. Not only does it sometimes take people away from another reality, but it can't even arrive when you want it to. There's one more bus coming, just after midnight, I think. Thank you. The smile was clear in her voice. For some time, I just sat silently, examining the girl. Finally, she spoke. "Where are you going so late?" Was it really that interesting for her? "Just having a walk," I answered thoughtfully. "And you? You here for something important?" "Well, not really. Just going home." "Where do you live?" I couldn't help asking. "Far away," she said vaguely. "And I live nearby. It's a good area. I would say there couldn't be a worse one. I didn't have too many options." "You don't like it?" "Don't know. I got used to it by now. I think that people can be happy anywhere they want." "Perhaps. Well, think of it. People live even at the North Pole, in stations, I mean. And in the Sahara Desert, and in many other places. It's the people themselves that are the most important." Difficult to disagree with you. My comment sounded so philosophical that I unconsciously smiled. "You don't sound too honest to me." "Now, why would you say that, madam?" She laughed quietly. "I think you're a good person." Now she turned and... I realized why her voice, stature, and everything else seemed familiar to me. Slavya stood in front of me. For a moment I lost the ability to speak, but just for a moment. Of course, it could just be a girl who looks like Slavya from my dream, or am I experiencing the strongest deja vu? The city is not a pioneer camp, I'm not wearing a uniform, and it's not summer now. Trying to convince myself that it's just an illusion, I decided to ask a question. "Have we met before?" She carefully inspected me and smiled. "I don't think so, but your face seems familiar." Had you ever been to a pioneer camp as a kid?" "Of course not." She laughed. "When I was born, they'd already been disbanded." "Oh, right. Although, I had a dream recently." She thought for a second. "Me too. I mean, about the pioneer camp." "Maybe that's where we've met," the girl said seriously. "Possibly. By the way, my name is Slavya. Actually, my full name is Slavyana, but everyone calls me Slavya. You can do that too." I was about to tell her that I know, but then I stopped short. After all, is it that important to know why Slavya from my dream is standing right here, right now, in front of me at this frozen stop of the charming bus number 410? After all, there are dreams that you don't want to wake up from. Mine is Semyon. What a lovely name. Starts with an S, too. Yeah. So you live far away, don't you? Well, not really. She named the district. Thought it would be somewhere in the south. Why? Don't know. Maybe because you look like a pioneer. Oh, you and your pioneers. Slavya laughed. Maybe we wouldn't ever meet if not for them. Why? Her expression became serious. Just a joke. Listen, do you agree that the world exists because we believe in it? That's like some kind of subjective idealism. Slavya thought for a bit. The school of philosophy became close to me recently. Well, I don't know. I'm not that good with these subjects. What are your subjects then? She smiled. Different ones. No doubt. But it's just been a few minutes since we met. But it seems like it's been much longer. For some reason, I've got that same feeling. An awkward pause followed. The snowfall was eased, but there was still no bus. I looked at my watch and assumed that it won't arrive at all. Slavya seemed to feel even colder now as her cheeks grew more red and her hands were now moving frenetically, trying to warm her body. Seems like the 4:10 bus is done for today. I guess, she said sadly. If you want. I started after pulling myself together. What? You can stay at my place. But we've just met. She laughed. She didn't seem frightened even a tiny bit. Yes, I understand, but it's cold outside. Aren't you afraid? Slavya looked at me playfully. Me? Should I be? Who knows? Who knows? I just suggested it. Don't think anything of that sort. I started to make excuses. I understand. She laughed. If you don't mind, of course. Even though it seems impossible, she flushed even more. Should we go? Let's wait a bit longer. Maybe it'll arrive. Okay. So, what do you do in your spare time? Slavya asked after a while. Well, work at home, kinda. I just couldn't tell her that I do nothing. Sounds good. Why? Don't know. You have a lot of free time. You don't have to go anywhere and so on. And you? I asked, trying to change the subject somehow. I'm studying. Getting an ethnographer's degree? What's that? Slavya asked seriously. Never mind. I'll be an ecologist. Well, a career to be proud of. We chatted about random things and the bus was still nowhere to be seen. It was past 1 already. Time passed by so fast. I guess Slavya understood my thoughts. Shall we go? She smiled. I stood up and headed slowly towards my house. She carefully held onto my arm and looked into my eyes. You know, I'm sure that this year will be better than the previous one. Truly, though. Comfy guy? Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, a prologue, and an epilogue. There's no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. Well, that was not what I was expecting. Kind of an unclear ending. Anyway, thanks very much for joining me. I assume this was the good end with Slavya, I guess because I slept with her and then maybe had a chance to build a relationship with her now in the real world. Very strange. I wonder how old she is now, because, you know, we're supposed to be like 16, 17, 18, whatever at the camp. But now I'm back in my reality, so I'm older. Is she also like around the same age as me, but she's studying, so I guess she's a little bit younger. Anyway, well, thanks for joining me. We will see you in the next episode.